Election Day is November 5th, and we're sitting down with Norwalk's candidates for Common Council and Board of Education, and we're asking them for their qualifications, their opinions, and their visions for Norwalk. Just tell us, in the 4 years since you were first elected, what you feel you've helped the board accomplish.
Well, one of the big things that I think I've done recently, I've been part of recently, was the superintendent search. I was a strong vocal advocate for having a national search for a reform-minded, dynamic superintendent, and we achieved that. And I'm thrilled for Norwalk in the fact that we have the caliber of superintendent that we have in Dr. Rivera. So I'm excited about that. I think hiring a superintendent is probably the most important decision a Board of Ed can make. Another thing that I have been a part of is I'm the chairwoman of the negotiations committee. And as such, I think I've been fair but firm. You're talking about money, so it's not easy to talk about money. And it's not a way to make friends, but it has to be done. And Norwalk has some of the most the best contracts, generous contracts in the state, not only in terms of salary and long and short-term benefits, but also in terms of work rules. And those aren't necessarily student-friendly or taxpayer-friendly. And so it does take effort to go and adjust that. Also, an example of how to go and bring that back more to the students. The last teacher's freeze was difficult to go through, but it saved us $2.8 million this year in funding. And to give you an example of what we were able to do with that, every single enhancement and new hire that we did this year was funded through that freeze, that salary freeze. So what does that mean? Well, it means the librarians, it means the middle school sports, it means the instructional specialists for science, it means the intervention specialists, it means the additions to special ed. All those were able to be funded because of that freeze. So it was a tough decision, but it was brought directly back to the students.
That freeze goes away next year. What sort of things like that can you use to go about restoring, to continue to restore some of the things that were lost and need to continue to be implemented into the school system? How do you go about finding those savings in years to come?
Well, there's a number of ways you have to basically do that. One of the things is you have to realize that each year, the freeze was a one-time freeze. We actually asked in arbitration for 2 years freeze. And then in year 3 we would have had a salary increase. The arbitrators decided to give us the freeze in year 1, which is this year, which saved us $2.8 million. Yep. And in year 2 they gave the union what they wanted, which was a 2.5% raise plus step. And when you add the step increase, which is basically another salary increase, you get worked out to be about $3.2 million. So this year coming up, 14-15, will reflect that increase in salary. Year 3, the following year, the arbitrators gave us a reopener, which was what we had asked for, which means that we relook at the step structure and the salary structure at that point. So one of the ways that I know it's being addressed is we're doing a 3-year budget plan. And long-term budgeting that's aligned with a strategic plan lets you know where you're at, where you want to go, and where the gaps are. And that never happened in Norwalk before. It was always went from budget to budget. So every April or May, it was a panic. And then you started again. So I think we're going to be, facing facts and looking reality in the face, seeing what our limitations are, and realizing that we're going to have to be inventive about how we do business. Because as I mentioned earlier when we were talking, all bargaining groups, when they come to negotiate, want a raise for their members. Yeah. All bargaining groups, when you're negotiating, want to have the least increase in their benefit costs. They want to have the best work rules. They're all there to get more for their members. And as a member of the Board of Education negotiating team, my job is to get more for the students, and to spend as little money as we can to get those dollars into the students in the classroom.
For your next term, what would you like to see the board focus on most?
Well, one of the things that I remain focused on is early literacy. I have two kids who are dyslexic, and they read very well now. But they read very well because I was a strong advocate. I was tenacious. I spent a lot of money supporting them. I spent a lot of time, and I made sure that they got what they needed. I have no doubt that if I had not spent the time and put the effort into their needs, that my two children would be illiterate today.
Sure.
And facing illiteracy so up close and personal really kind of changes the way you look at things, the way I look at things anyways. I always knew reading was important, but it never came easy for me, so I never saw any problems with it. I just always had excuses for why people couldn't read. Yeah. What I found is if you don't read at grade level when you're in elementary school, when you're in first, second grade, if you don't read your reading book at grade level, you don't read your social studies book at grade level. You don't read your science book at grade level. You can't read your math questions. You can't take notes. You can't write. You're basically behind the eight ball.
All-encompassing.
It's so foundational. So I think that something that we have to focus on with a laser-like vision is early literacy. It's the foundation for everything that comes after that. 13% of our African American 10th graders are reading at grade level. That's 87% that aren't. It affects everybody and everything. So I think that's an important piece of work. I think something else we need to focus on is staying aligned with Norwalk Acts. Norwalk Acts has come together in a great collaborative nature and combined community organizations under the Strive Collaborative Network to work on aligning the needs of Norwalk's youth from cradle to career, and taking all of our assets and all of our energies and focusing those community energies into a united vision, which I think will help also support Dr. Rivera in his in following through with his strategic plan, giving him a sounding board and a support mechanism for him to do the work that he needs to do. I think we need to be aggressive in the way in which we design and think about new programs and initiatives that we have. They have to be compelling and energetic enough to engage and interest outside funders.
Right.
They have to see a value in them that is going to be results oriented, so that they will help us fund some dynamic initiatives that we can bring directly to the students, and with outside funding dollars. But they can't just be initiatives that are asking, well, we're a poorly funded district, give us money. That doesn't work. That's not enough. You really need to have dramatic visions, and they need to be sustainable, and they need to. You need to be able to have a plan, a really solid plan, and so I knew we need to look into that. We need to look at new ways of doing things in general. I mean, when you think about it, every single student in Norwalk Public Schools right now, probably with very few exceptions, was either in preschool or kindergarten. Even the seniors were either in preschool or kindergarten in the year 2000. So our entire student body has been alive, has been going to school in a world that has had smartphones and computers and social media and Twitter and Google and Wikipedia and instant access and phones that take pictures, and that's their world. They don't know a world that doesn't have that. And they're going to be entering a world that's going to have that and more. And we've got a school system, and not again just in Norwalk. This is a national issue. Most of what happens in Norwalk is national. Happens nationally. You've got a school system that's been designed in a model that's almost 100 years old. So we have to be able to adapt to meet the kids where they're at.
What do you think the relationship between a superintendent and the Board of Education should be going forward?
Well, I see a Board of Ed without a superintendent, without a permanent superintendent, in my opinion, because I've gone through 2 superintendent searches now in the 4 years I've been on the board. Right. One within the first month of my 4 years ago, and then the one that just ended. And not the 9 members on the Board of Ed without a permanent superintendent are 9 board members looking for a permanent superintendent. Without without your instructional leader, without that CEO position there, a strategic leader, you're basically your doors are open, your buses are running, life goes on, but you don't really make any forward motion. And so I think that I have a deep respect for that, for that, the part that both of us play, that both the Board of Ed and the superintendent play. Boards make policy, and superintendents, as I said, are the instructional leader. They're the ones with the strategic plan that they've worked on with the stakeholders and the board, and they're the ones who make that plan a reality, that have it hit the ground. And so we need to give superintendents the ability to do their job. And that also means that that's out of respect and partnership. And it does mean that you ask tough questions. It means you hold each other accountable, but it means that you allow this instructional leader to do the work that they are that he's set out to do, and support him in every way you can to do that.